Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E. Thank you very much for tuning in, for joining me. It is Friday, January 2nd. We are recording this after 1 p.m. Pacific time, ahead of Canada's World Junior Game and the Winter Classic and some more bowl games and whatever else people are watching or paying attention to on this Friday afternoon. Thank you very much again for joining. It's a solo pod. It's me, myself, and I once again coming at you on a Friday ahead of the weekend and probably the end of the holiday break for some people. Last day off before people go back to work on Monday. So how exciting is that? Sounds entertaining. We got a good show coming up. We're going to discuss the U.S. Olympic roster. They dropped that today. The men's team and the women's team were announced. The teams are looking okay for the U.S. I like their women's team more than I like their men's team, but I'll get into that later on down the road here. A little bit of an NFL, a football preview. We got some interesting games in Week 18, final week of the NFL regular season. The college football playoff had their quarterfinal games yesterday and Wednesday. New Year's Day games and a New Year's Eve game. Finally, some hockey. Basically, the Winter Classic's going on. I'm not going to watch the Winter Classic tonight. I might tune in for a little bit, but I'm probably not going to watch because it's World Juniors Day, and everybody is going to be watching the Sicko Mode Game of the Night, which of course is the Kraken at Vancouver. The rivalry that isn't really a rivalry. The rivalry that should be a rivalry, but for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like a rivalry. They're like 2 hours away from one another, and nobody gives a shit. I don't know. That's basically the Kraken and the Canucks. And I say it's a sicko game because both teams are out of a playoff spot. Although Seattle actually won last night, so I don't know if they're out of the playoff spot or if they're still on the fringe. I'm just going to double check here, see what the standings say, so that I sound somewhat intelligent. Seattle has the last wild card spot if the season ends today. They actually have better points percentage than the Sharks, but the Sharks have 2 more points than them. So if the season ends today, the Kraken will be in the playoffs. How about them apples? Let's get into the U.S. Olympic roster preview that I have, because I'm sure at some point, friend of the show, Scott Conkin, Scotty and I are going to do an Olympic preview. Scotty's on vacation right now. Scotty's busy. That's why he hasn't been on the show. And I guess I could reach out to somebody else. But I like it when Scotty and I pod because we're we feed off each other. We have good vibes, good energy. Makes for a good show. The U.S. Olympic men's team is intriguing, and I say that in a somewhat complimentary, but also, mean way. Okay. So basically, it's 21 of the 25 guys from last year's Four Nations team are playing for the U.S. at the Olympics. The new guys, the 4 new guys are Seth Jones, Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller, and Quinn Hughes. Now, Quinn Hughes was technically on the roster, but he was injured during Four Nations last year, so he didn't get an opportunity to play, but he's back on the roster again. So the 3 real new guys on this team are Seth Jones, Tage Thompson, and Clayton Keller. All fine, quality players. No qualms about Seth Jones, which is kind of actually crazy because Seth Jones actually is had a resurgence in the last 6 months to a year, maybe 10 months. He's got some real good image rehab, you could say, for Seth Jones. Tage Thompson is Tage Thompson. He's big guy, can score, tall. Don't have a problem with him being on Team USA. Clayton Keller, great scorer, great winger, tremendous guy, probably one of the more underrated players in the league. Instead of, I don't know. I mean, I'll get into it. So the guys who I think should be on this team but are not are Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield. I'm just going to get straight into it. Now, Jason Robertson has more goals than Vincent Trocheck, who's on his team, has points. Cole Caulfield is one of the best scorers, one of the best snipers, one of the best shooters in the NHL. And Bill Guerin, GM of the team, decided, no, we're good. We don't need you. We in the same way that Colin Cowherd was like, hey, LeBron, we don't need you. Bill Guerin essentially went to Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield was like, hey, we're good. We don't need you. We got Vincent Trocheck. We got Brock Nelson. And I don't know. I personally don't like it. I think those guys should have been on the team. I get that they're trying to go for a bit more of a grittier, style of play. That's kind of the zag from Team Canada, which I know Team USA isn't building or, making a roster because of what Canada does. That's just not a good decision because you have to build your own team and you have to find your right guys and all this sort of stuff. But I don't know, man. I think you're really missing out with putting Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson back on this roster. You are missing goal scoring. You're missing offensive play. You're missing finishers is what I think you're missing if you're Team USA, because you have Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, and Dylan Larkin, who those guys can score. And I know Matthews has not had as good of a year this year as he has in years past. Okay, fair enough. But I'm curious to know where the finishing, where the scoring is actually going to come from. I think you have a lot of playmakers. I think you have a lot of guys who can pass the puck, create plays, set up for others. But who are the others on this team that are scoring? Clayton Keller? I don't think Trocheck and Brock Nelson are. Maybe it's Matthew Boldy. Maybe it's Kyle Connor. I don't know. I'm curious to see. Maybe it's JT Miller. I don't know where the goals come from with Team USA. And it's not like, the double IHF tournament, which is what the Olympics is like Four Nations. It's a different game. The rules are different. Sure, the ice is going to be smaller than an NHL size rink. In which case, okay, you can have maybe a few more bigger guys. You can make it a little bit more physical. Okay, sure, I guess. But there's not going to be the opportunity for Brady and Matthew Tkachuk to throw hands at the Olympics and take over a game like that. That just, it's not happening. You can't fight. The European refs, the European game, which is what the double IHF is essentially. They'll have American and Canadian and whoever officials, like the officials for everybody else, but it's the European game that they're playing at the Olympics. And the Americans being the gritty, physical, mean team is fine, I guess, but it's not going to win you the gold in the same way that Team Canada is. And that's kind of my issue with Team USA. Team USA used to be the skill team. I always thought of Team USA as the fun, flashy, exciting, score a bunch of goals, shoot the lights out kind of team. While Team Canada was the boring, hey, we're going to be defensive, we're going to grind you down, we're going to make it tough to play against us. Now the roles are reversed. The U.S. is the, hey, we're going to grind you down, we're going to make it tough for you to play against us. It's going to be a low-scoring, probably low-event game, whereas Canada feels like the team that is highly skilled, that's going to shoot the lights out, that's going to score a bunch of goals. And it's going to be a high-event hockey considering who's in net or who might not be in net for Team Canada at the Olympics. So everything I know and love about international hockey has now changed. It was a good run, but now it's over. It's now, essentially it's the meme of what happened to the game I loved. And that's what this Olympic tournament feels like it's going to be. Now, you'll still have a good, maybe not great Sweden team. You'll have a decent, a solid, not extraordinary Finland team. Same with Czechia, probably the same with Slovakia. Germany's going to be interesting with Draisaitl and Seider. But, man, the U.S., I think, is missing out on a real opportunity to be the high-flying, fast, fun, scoring team that, again, I know the ice surface is going to be smaller than a regular NHL rink, never mind international rink. I don't know. I would have Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield on my team. I wouldn't have Vincent Trocheck. I wouldn't have Brock Nelson. I probably wouldn't have JT Miller on my team. But that's just me. You still got Matt Boldy. You still got Kyle Connor. You still got Austin Matthews. You still got Jack Eichel. You still have Dylan Larkin. It's not like this team is lacking talent. It's just, it's here. If you're an audio listener, it's like I don't know. It's like at the midway point when it can be at the high point. You know what I mean? Like it's a mid, not a mid team, but it's like it's a good team that could be a great team, but they're like, no, we think we can win being a good team. And it's like, I guess, man, I don't totally buy it. I think right now Canada is the favorite to win gold. They should be the favorite to win gold. And I think the U.S. men's team, they kind of blew it. That's just my opinion. For the U.S. women's team, I just want to give a quick shout out because they look really good. They're actually quite a bit younger. 11 new players, I believe. Maybe not necessarily younger, but at least some more fresh faces for the women's team. They're still led by Hillary Knight, arguably the greatest women's player of all time. It's basically her versus Marie-Philip Poulin once again. Can't wait for that rivalry to reignite in Milan. Kendall Coyne-Schofield is going to be there. I believe Alex Carpenter made the team as well. I think the U.S. women's team looks really good. They're going to be a competitive team. They usually are. They're usually one of the best teams to watch. It's them in Canada, typically on the women's side for gold. Extremely excited to watch the women's team. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to see how they match up against Canada this year. And I can't wait to cover that. We're going to do some Olympic coverage here for SYP. So stay tuned for that. Look out for that. That's going to be coming down the pipeline here. Like in the next month, like when the Olympics start, we'll have previews and such, and we'll get all that set. It's going to be good. Don't miss out. Again, if you aren't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Both you can find at SYP Pod, all lowercase, one word. And you'll see a lot of our content there. But just to end on the Olympic conversation, the U.S. is probably going to be going, I would think, with a 13 forward, 7D kind of starting lineup kind of look, because they have a loaded D core. Like their defense core is outstanding. The goaltending is obviously going to be fantastic. Whether it's Hellebuck, whether it's Jake Ottinger, they have options. They have plenty of options in net for Team USA. So I'm not saying it's hopeless. You know, the world's on fire. It's Jover for Team USA. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think they missed out on a real opportunity to be the team to beat, and instead it's now Canada who I think is the team to beat, because I just think they have more skill. They're more talented. They're going to score more goals than Team USA. I think they can get through the defense and the goaltending to win the gold. But that's still over a month away. Anything is possible. There are still injuries that could happen. There are still things that could occur in the next month. Who knows? It's so wide open at this point. Anything is possible. But I just thought I'd give my 2 cents on that. Share my thoughts on the Olympic hockey roster announcements. I talked a little bit about Canada. If you missed out on the pod earlier this week, I talked about Canada a little bit because I think by the time I was recording, the roster was just announced. So it was kind of like, hey, I just wanted to give a quick word on it. I still think Canada's roster is solid. I am really surprised that Sam Bennett didn't make it. It sounds like it was between Sam Bennett or Anthony Cirelli, and it came down to a coach's decision, which John Cooper being the coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to take his own player in Anthony Cirelli than Sam Bennett. But I still like Team Canada. I still think they're really good. I wish Connor Bedard got the opportunity to play for Team Canada. I really do. I don't know if his injury kind of put a stoppage on that, but Bedard's going to have many opportunities down the road. Same with somebody like Matthew Schaefer. I thought Schaefer had a really good first half of the season and deserves a spot or a crack at making Team Canada. And he'll have opportunities down the road. It's not a one and done for him. This isn't a Drew Doughty, hey, this is your last chance. We're giving you one more shot. This is, hey, we think this guy can help us win right now, and you're going to help us win in the future. I think that's the Matthew Schaefer effect. And the same with Bedard. But kudos again to also Mackley Celebrini for making it. That dude rocks. That guy's really, really good at what he does. Let's go to football a little bit. I'll discuss the college football playoff games first. Congratulations to all the teams that advanced. That includes the Miami Hurricanes, who beat the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. That includes the Oregon Ducks, who shut out the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the Orange Bowl. First game on New Year's Day, and I was surprised by that. I don't think any of my predictions came true in the last pod I did with the college football playoff. I don't think anything I said happened, which rocks. That's cool. I love sounding like an idiot in front of a microphone, but I already sound like an idiot without a microphone. This is just, I guess for show. Literally, because we're doing a show. Nice. I don't think that went well. The Indiana Hoosiers demolished the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's probably the most surprising game, most surprising result of the day. It was 38-3, not even close. Alabama forgot to show up. They didn't even know where Pasadena was. They probably don't because they don't know where things are on a map. But that's not the point. Alabama didn't show up. Alabama non-existent. Indiana came to play. Indiana fucked up some dudes in the Rose Bowl. And then finally, Ole Miss beat Georgia 37-34 in what was the longest ending to a game ever. I think I saw it took 12 real-time minutes to play 6 seconds. It was just stupid. All the shit that went down at the end between the field goal, the kickoff that then was a safety, that was then a free kick for Georgia that they then recovered, that they still actually got an untimed down for, and then had to do this Hail Mary thing at the end and do 1,000 laterals, and it looked like Gunnar Stockton, the Georgia quarterback, after there was 200,000 laterals, got the ball back. It looked like he was going to throw downfield again, which would have effectively ended the game, but I think there was a flag on Georgia that ended the game anyways. They had to take the stage. They rolled the stage on the field, and then rolled it off, and then rolled it back on like a couple times. It was just an absurd, dumb, stupid, chaotic way to end a football game. God, that was annoying. Congrats to Ole Miss for advancing. They now have won 2 playoff games without former head coach Lane Kiffin. Trinidad Chambliss, outstanding. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with Ole Miss's helmets, though. That's kind of my thing with Ole Miss. They had this like little camo thing. I like the uniforms. Like they have like the nice kind of white uniforms. Maybe it's like a little gray with the blue. I like the uniforms, and then they had like this little camo thing going on the helmet. Like it was like camouflage, sort of, kind of. I don't know. It was okay. I didn't get it. I don't know if it matched the rest of the uniform, and I know they have like the blue helmet or the red helmet that they like to wear every once in a while, and I don't know why they didn't just wear that. But hey, they won. Who cares? Congrats to Ole Miss. They are going to play... Who's Ole Miss playing? Are they playing Miami? I think it's Ole Miss and Miami in the Fiesta Bowl, and then it's Oregon in Indiana in the Peach Bowl. Oregon, Indiana, they're both going to be really great games. They are both going to be outstanding semifinals. I can't wait to watch them. I'm probably more interested in Oregon, Indiana, because I think whoever wins that wins the national championship. But either way, it's going to be a fantastic duo, a fantastic combo of semifinal games that I believe go Thursday and Friday next week. Thursday in Atlanta with Oregon, Indiana, and then Friday is Miami, Ole Miss in Phoenix, in Glendale. That sounds about right. Solid day of college football. I just have to say one more thing before we segue to something else. Indiana just annihilated Alabama. Like, I have never seen in my, I'm going to say 20-something years of watching college football. And, I mean, I don't watch every game. I like to think I'm more than a casual fan, but I can't watch every game. I haven't been able to watch every game. So, please correct me. There's a time that Alabama has been dominated, like within like the last 20 years, just dominated at the line of scrimmage, especially on the defensive side. Like, the defensive linemen were just bullied by Indiana's O-line. Like, I have never seen a D-line from Alabama push back so much that they just, like, anything Indiana wanted to do, like in the run game, they just could do. They created so many holes. They beat Alabama to so many gaps. They beat Alabama to so many, like, just ridiculous. So shout out Indiana. Shout out Kurt Cignetti, the head coach of Indiana. Shout out Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback. Shout out to the Indiana offensive line, which I think was named like the MVP of the game. Like, the whole O-line was named the MVP. That's how good the O-line was for the Hoosiers. Insane. Just completely dominant. And I guess on a little, side note to that, a Ryan Grubb masterclass. The Alabama offensive coordinator, formerly the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks last year, can't run the ball. The Alabama team just could not run the ball yesterday. Could not create holes, could not create any gaps, could not move a guy anywhere they wanted. It was incredibly frustrating to watch, just for me as a Seahawks fan, because I saw this last year of how the team struggled to run the ball, and as a result, they had to pass it a billion times because they couldn't create a run game. They couldn't run the ball, not even effectively, just forward. Like, they couldn't even get, like, I think Alabama finished with 23 rushing yards. Now, granted, there was a lot of garbage time in the end, so with all due respect, I guess, but, I mean, 23 yards of rushing, that's just not going to cut it. That's just not going to win you many games, never mind when you get to a playoff. So, kudos to Indiana. I think they're the team to beat. They're still the number one team in the country. They are undefeated so far. They're trying to go 16-0. Crazy season if they can pull it off. I'm kind of rooting for them. I hope they do it. It'll be an awesome story. Go Hoosiers. Let's do some NFL. It's week 18. The two, I guess, there's three big games, I guess, but Panthers-Bucks, that's going to be Saturday afternoon. The Panthers can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a Falcons win. So basically, even if the Panthers lose, they still get in should Atlanta win against New Orleans on Sunday. Tampa Bay can clinch with a win and a Saints win. So essentially, the Bucks need to win and the Saints need to beat the Falcons. So if you're a Carolina fan, you're rooting for Atlanta. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're rooting for New Orleans. That's essentially... It kind of doesn't... It sort of matters who wins in Tampa, Carolina, but it really kind of more so matters in New Orleans, Atlanta. Anyways, Tampa Bay has lost 7 of their last 8. Carolina's looking to make the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Neither one of these teams look great. I think Carolina's the better team. Like, I almost trust Carolina more than I trust Tampa because I don't think Tampa's healthy, and I think their coaching staff is not as good as Carolina. I don't know. I think Carolina's better. I trust Carolina. we'll see. Anything's possible. The second and more important game on Saturday is Seattle at Santa Clara. They're playing the Niners. The winner of Seattle-San Francisco clinches the NFC West and the number 1 seed. It's basically, if you win on Saturday, you get home field advantage for the rest of the playoffs. You get a week off. You get a bye week. And then you're hosting a game, I think, on either the 16th or 17th? 17th, 18th. You're basically your next home game. If you win Saturday, your next game isn't going to be until the 17th or the 18th of January. That's not too shabby. That's not too bad. Seattle, possibly down to their LT3, their third left tackle, Amari Knight. He's an undrafted free agent. Both Charles Cross and Josh Jones are injured or dealing with injuries. I think both of them at some points this week have not practiced. It is kind of a short week. They both played on Sunday. San Francisco played Sunday night. Seattle played Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So, short week for both teams. San Fran's injuries include Trent Williams, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, Upton Stout, Keon White. All of those guys are questionable to play. So, it's a smorgasbord, really, of dudes who are questionable to play for the Niners this weekend. The big question I have, I am excited, obviously, to watch, Mike McDonald versus Kyle Shanahan, how that goes. Can the Seahawks defense match up well with Shanahan's offense? They seem to in the first week of the season. But the other side of the ball is also really intriguing. Can the Niners defense, which is last in the league in sacks, last in the league in pressures, or pressure rate, I believe, can the 49ers defense cause chaos and pressure Sam Darnold? It seems to be the formula to beat the Seahawks, especially beat up their, offense and slow that down. The Seahawks for the last 6 weeks or so, it seems like they've taken a while to get ready or figure stuff out on offense. They are a slow team in the first half, and they usually figure it out by the second half. I'm curious to see if that's the case once again. Robert Saleh versus Clint Kubiak. It's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll see how that goes. If Seattle, and again, their O-line is dealing with injuries. Everybody in this game really is dealing with injuries, but Seattle's O-line is especially dealing with injuries. If Seattle's O-line can hold up against the San Fran D, against the front seven of the 49ers, I think Seattle has a good chance to win. We shall see. I'm not entirely sure of that. I think it's probably going to be a one-score game, similar to the game in 2019 where it came down to the last play. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened here. Obviously, I'm rooting for Seattle, but I think it's going to be a really close competitive game, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how it all goes. Other games to watch this weekend include the Saints and the Falcons, because it could impact, probably will impact the NFC South. The Jets are playing the Bills this weekend. It's the potential last game at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, a.k.a. Ralph Wilson Stadium, a.k.a. New Era Field. The last game for the Bills in their longtime stadium before they move to their new stadium next season. Now, the Bills could host potentially a playoff game. It's unlikely to happen, but it could happen, so that's why I say potentially last game. Hopefully they just beat the shit out of the Jets. Everybody goes home happy. Everybody has fun. I believe the snow has been so bad in Buffalo this week that they've had to recruit fans to shovel snow out. They get like $20 an hour, and they get food and drinks like handed to them. Like they get some pizza and some coffee and whatever. Hot chocolate maybe. Should be an exciting last game for Buffalo, and they hopefully can make it a get-right game before they get into the playoffs, before they start the postseason, and just kick the shit out of the Jets in Buffalo. Lions are playing the Bears. Not necessarily a big game because the Bears have already clinched their playoff spot. They've already locked up the NFC North. The Lions are eliminated. They're playing for pride at this point. I'm sure they would love to go in and fuck with Ben Johnson, formerly the offensive coordinator for the Lions, now the head coach of the Bears. I'm sure they'd love to go fuck up his plans. But nevertheless, The Bears are still trying to at least get the second seed and host a playoff game instead of having to potentially go on the road. We'll see how that goes. Host 2 games. We'll see how that goes. Could be interesting. Similarly, Chargers, Broncos. Both teams are making the playoffs. It's just a matter of how high can Denver get. Are they going to be a number 1 seed? Are they going to be a number 2, maybe number 3 seed? The Chargers are going to be a wild card team. They're playing for pride here. This could be a rematch next week. So it might just be a kind of, figuring each other out, getting to know one another. They've already played once this season at SoFi. This game is going to be played at Mile High. So who knows? Denver, I think it's like 12.5-point favorites, which seems like a lot because I think the Chargers are pretty good. But the Chargers still have to go into Denver to Mile High and beat the Broncos, which is not an easy task. Not easy, for sure. So the final game I'll throw out there, Steelers versus Ravens for the AFC North. In my eyes, it's kind of a piss versus shit bowl. Like, I don't think either of these teams are going to win next week. Maybe DK's going to come back and help the Steelers, but they need to win this game. I'm not really. This is the worst version of Steelers versus Ravens that we've seen in a long time. It feels like the most meaningless because in the past you could convince yourself, hey, the Steelers could get hot and go on a run. The Ravens could get hot and go on a run. I think both of these teams stink, and neither one of them are going to go for a run. They're going to lose to whoever they have to host in the wild card next week, whether it's the Bills, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's the Texans. Not really interested in Steelers-Ravens. I get why it's a Sunday night game. Preferably, I wish it was a Saturday night game, but it is what it is. So there you go. There's your football preview, NFL preview for Week 18. And again, I should say, it is Friday, Jan 2nd. The World Juniors are going on as we speak. I believe, they're just as I turn my head. Sweden is having their national anthem played. They just beat Latvia in the quarterfinals. Switzerland is about to play Czechia. Canada will play Slovakia, later tonight. The U.S. will be playing Finland. I wrote about this. If you haven't checked it out already, I wrote it in my Substack. You can find that on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, at Ian McNaughton. All one word. Pretty funny, I thought. Or you can find the link to the Substack and the link in our bio on our Instagram, at SYP Pod. I talked about it. I think both Canada and U.S. are going to win their quarterfinal games. I think the U.S. is going to be more prone to an upset because the Finns are going to have revenge on their mind after losing in the gold medal game last year. And I don't know. The U.S. seems to play to the level of their competition. The U.S., I think, had a 1-goal game against Slovakia. They had a 1-goal game against Switzerland. They lost 6-3 to Sweden. That game just kind of got out of hand as it was. But the Americans, I don't think, are as good as Canada. I think they're better than Finland, but we'll see. Finland really struggled with the pressure. If you didn't watch on Wednesday's game, Finland-Canada in the World Juniors to end the round robin, Finland really struggled with just getting zone entries. Finland really couldn't handle Canada's pressure at the blue line. I would think the U.S. will try and do the same thing and just make it tough for Finland to try and enter the zone. Whether it's as effective, whether it works as well, who's to say? But I think that's the strategy for beating Finland. If you're, if you're going up against them, if you're matching up against them, just park the bus at the blue line, make it difficult for them to get through the zone. They have a couple of guys who are solid, but I don't think they are as skilled as U.S. or Canada. In the Canada game, again, they play Slovakia. Don't doubt Slovakia. Don't just think it's an easy walk in the park for Canada. Slovakia, I think every one of their games have been 1-goal games. They have scored in the third period in every game at the World Juniors so far. So don't sleep on Slovakia. Canada obviously is more talented. They have more guys who can score. They should be able to get this done. But I wouldn't be surprised if Slovakia tries to slow it down, control the puck, play their style of game, play to their tempo compared to Canada's. But we'll see. Canada and the U.S., if they win their respective quarterfinal games, they will meet in the semifinals on Sunday. Sweden's already clinched their spot into the semifinals as I've recorded this. The winner of Switzerland-Czechia will play Sweden. So basically, all the semifinal games are on Sunday. The final game, the gold medal game, and I guess the bronze medal game, but gold medal game is going to be Monday night, all at, I believe, Grand Casino Arena in St. Paul. So, be on the lookout for that. We'll have more content for that coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned. Again, check our social, check our YouTube. We got good stuff coming out for the World Juniors, so don't miss out there. That's really the show. I got a big Friday night of watching junior hockey. I got a big Saturday night watching NFL, and then Sunday it's going to be semifinals, and Monday is going to be gold medal for World Juniors. So it's a busy weekend ahead. Thank you very much for listening. Can't wait to bring you more stuff early next week. It's going to be great. Stay tuned. Again, if you aren't already, follow us on Instagram at SYP Pod. If you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, also at SYP Pod. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or you're listening on Spotify, give us a like, give us a rating. It goes a long way. It's greatly appreciated. Any support is greatly appreciated. In addition, if you like to read, you can check out my Substack. That link is in our Instagram link, and it should be in... I don't know if it's still in our YouTube. Anyways, point is, go check out some of my stuff. You can basically, if you want to subscribe, it's free. Just put in your email. It gets delivered to your inbox every time I drop something. So go check that out. All this is free content, so any support is greatly appreciated. Please check it out. Please tell your friends. And we'll be back again sometime next week with a pod. So thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. Check us out wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. And we'll be back again soon. Big E, Ian McNaughton, signing out. Peace.